Okay, welcome in everybody. Look at all these names coming on in. Thank you so much for joining us for our first event of 2023.
Woohoo!
Wowza. Here
Oh,
we go.
wow. That's right. It is our first one.
It is. And we got it in January. This is great. Okay, I see a lot of folks coming in. Well, we got a good one today for you. So you're in for a treat because
Well, we got a
this
lot
topic,
of our clients on here and friendlies, I guess I should say.
yeah.
So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. We've been talking about this internally for a while now, so I'm excited it's starting to come to fruition. So let me officially welcome everybody. Hello, thank you for joining us today. My name is Kalia Garrido. I head up events and marketing here at Great Data Minds. Great Data Minds, if you haven't heard of us already, we are a collective of passionate data activists, and we're on a mission to modernize the world of data. We do this in two different ways. The first is that we have a services arm that's at gdminnovationlabs.com. And this is where we run all of our strategic planning, education, and the deployment of critical data projects. And then over here on the greatdataminds.com side of the house, this is where we have our community and we have our events and we get great thought leaders on to keep us abreast of all of the haps in the wonderful and always changing world of data and analytics. A little bit of housekeeping for us today. This is a webinar, so as you can see, your cameras and microphones are off. We would love you to chat with us live. We have the chat turned on. And if you prefer to wait for a more formal Q&A section towards the end of the session today, we will have that available and reserved as well. So a couple of introductions for my usual suspects that we see on the other side of the line here. We have Julie Burroughs. Julie, of course, is our CEO here at Great Data Minds. She has built her entire career around being a champion for innovation in the data and analytics space. And Mike Lampa, he is our Chief Analytics Officer here at GDM, and he is a true transformation agent working with enterprises to modernize their analytics programs from the ground up. And like I said,
Kayla,
I am excited to learn more. Oh, yes, Julie.
Maybe we should see if we can hire out HR Puffin stuff to host some of these or something like that, Cookie Monster or something. Hey, Mike, what do you think of data ops?
I'm already wearing the blue. I could flex into that if that's what you guys wanted. We didn't talk about it, but okay. So in any case, today we are here to talk about behavior-driven design. Like I mentioned up front, this is something that has come up for us internally for probably about the last 2 months. And I'm really excited that so many of you on the line are expressing an interest as well. And with that, I'll let these folks take it away.
Thank you, Kalia. Good morning, Julie Burroughs. How are you?
Good morning, Mike Lampa. I'm sitting in the snow again in Denver, Colorado. All the Coloradans are moving back to where they came from, Chicago, Cincinnati, where the gloom and the snow is, because that's what we feel like. And people are grumpy. If anyone's on the line from Denver, I think there are a couple people, you know what I'm saying. People in Colorado do not like this stuff day after day after day. So how about you?
How am
I doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Looks like you got some new art and some flowers there.
I got art and I got flowers. Yeah, I'm getting cultured.
I see it.
Looking
good on you, Mike.
Like a container of cottage cheese, all cultured up. So, Julie Burrow, why are we even here today?
Well, first of all, we see it every day where, people failed projects, failed analytics projects, the requirements aren't, well vetted. We actually work with one of our partners that, quite frankly, we're very happy. They hand us a lot of business through their professional services organization, but it's all use case driven. And by the time we get to the use case that they say we're going to work around, we're like, what? Mm-hmm. So we see it every day. We see it as part of the, percentages of failed projects and data. You hear Gartner, 30%, 35% failed. Dashboard acceptance, we've seen over the past couple of years as low as 21% of all dashboards are accepted by the business. Everything else is thrown out the door. Things have to change. And we believe that part of the failed projects is the fact that in the very beginning, the proper requirements are not defined.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? Don't you agree?
I definitely agree to that. There's two things that kind of supports that is we've lost an art form for use case development. And what you and I are going to share today is let's bring that art form back. And the other thing is using these techniques and principles, it's going to help us know that we're designing the right things. And then we
Right.
get into development and we develop them the right way. But man, when you don't have a proper use case nailed down in collaboration with the end user, the analytic stakeholder, that's a key reason for why those horrible percentages are out there around lack of adoption. Right?
Yeah, we, Kelly mentioned the last 3 months. I think that we really started feeling the pain about 6 months ago, and we went through our strategic planning and said, this is a hot area where we're seeing failure. So let's, resurrect some of our teachings and education and help our community maybe get at this a little bit better. So,
Yep.
yeah. Hey, Mike, we were talking on we always do a practice call or agenda call, whatever. And you were talking about a little history about, behavior driven design, how we got there, we maybe started over in product development.
Well, yeah. So our adaptation of behavior driven development, which we're calling behavior driven design, because the focus here is around the design elements before you go into development. But behavior driven development is a set of techniques and principles that was developed quite a long time ago. I don't even know how long ago it was, but it's used in the software development industry where you're actually building applications. And us data people, of course, were like, well, we do data, we don't build software. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how silly of a statement was that? All of our data pipeline code, that's software that we're developing to get the data transformed and curated to enable analytics. And then all the visualizations and machine learning models and all the analytic components, again, that's software. So why do we think that we don't build software? And our take is we do build software. We're building data products as a result of the software. That's the end product that's built. And we're building analytic products, the consumption of those data products. And all those products have a life cycle. So we need to adapt more and more of the software development methodologies that have been proven for decades, including the adaptation of DevOps to data ops, the adaptation of data ops and DevOps for ML ops, right? And likewise for behavior-driven design.
It's funny, we were at a conference last year and we had our tagline was, we build data and analytics products. That was it, right? And we had so many people just come over and want to talk to us to say, what does that mean? And it's funny, we're seeing the evolution of people now talking about data products. Our customers come to calls now and say, we're building, or prospects, or when we're trying to, work with organizations to go, well, we want to build data products. We're like, yeah, at least we don't have to get them to that, level. So.
Right. Yeah. And to that point, as people are starting to really take this product management mindset approach, they're starting to realize, oh, these data products actually are generating value. Maybe we should start considering them assets, right?
Yep.
So what is behavior-driven design? It's a method for defining application functional requirements. And what we did is we adapted it to the application functional requirements for analytic applications. And the key to it is we're trying to describe the behaviors that we want to enable or influence from the perspective of those analytic stakeholders, the end consumers. Right? And it takes a real simple recipe. It's like, given a hypothesis, when an insight is produced, then I'm going to take action. Right. And we're gonna get into this a little bit more, but that sets the stage for what we mean by behavior-driven design today. Alia, we have a poll.
We do, yeah. So we've been interested in this. So we would love you to answer this poll for us. We're talking to you folks on the line. This is our first poll, and it's about using behavior-driven design. So the question is, have you ever used behavior-driven design to gather requirements? So go ahead and answer this one for us. And I am so fascinated to see where this comes out.
Oh man, you're not letting Julie and I vote.
Yeah.
No, you guys have enough opinions already. I think we good.
We'd be saying yes anyway. Yeah. So just go ahead and calculate that in.
Right. Okay. I'll show you all the poll when we're done here. So let's see, I feel like we've got a few different answers coming in. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll and then I'm going to share the result. And at the same time, Mike, I would love you to go ahead and click to the next slide.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
More yeses than, okay.
Yep, there's just slightly more yeses. A lot of people are not sure, which is interesting. So we asked LinkedIn and we got 171 people to respond to our polls that we put out on a couple different big data groups and a couple different of our own groups. And this is what they said. Fascinating. Look how close these numbers are. Is that almost exactly the same amount have yes, no, or what's BDD? Like what? Not sure, you know? So it's really interesting. You've got a fully mixed bag here.
Yeah. I love that we're seeing adoption happening, right? And we've got a lot of opportunity to improve that adoption.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll influence folks as a result of today's little session.
Yeah. All right. And so we've got a couple more questions as we go through, 2 more polls. Bear with me now. We wanted to make sure that we knew exactly who we were talking to. So to further set the stage here, here's our second poll. On a scale of 1 to 3, how effective is your team at gathering requirements, right? We've got to assume that because you're in here, there might be a little bit of area for opportunity. If you're one of the people that's going to mark off highly effective, I don't see any of you yet, but if you do, we want to talk to you. We see this as trouble across the board. All right. Yep, good job. Folks are coming in, and in this case, we do not have any kind of consensus. Actually, we do have a consensus, and it's in the fact that the requirements are somewhat effective. Almost 86% of you are seeing that the requirements that you're gathering at your teams today are somewhat effective.
Wow.
So you're in the right place.
Wow.
Yeah, you definitely are. Awesome.
Yeah.
Right place. Okay,
All right,
one more
more
question. One more question. Let's go back.
We can't wait for
Okay.
this one.
Yep. So this is the dashboard adoption, and this is what Julie was talking about at the beginning. Do you feel like the dashboards that are built at your company are adopted by the right people at your organization? Okay, answers are coming in. And thank you guys, by the way, for answering these polls.
Yeah,
there are
this is
times,
awesome.
I have to say, there are times when Mr. Mike Lampa and I sit here and we talk to the cricket. This is not that group today, so we
Yeah,
appreciate
that's
you
great.
engaging with us. All right, I'm going to end it so these folks can finish what they're doing, and here's the results back. Sometimes.
Wow.
8%.
Wow.
And this is, I mean, it's what we see across the industry.
Right. It's, you know, it supports the research.
Right.
Wow.
Hey, Kalia, a little bit
Yes,
of
ma'am.
housekeeping before we go on. I'm not able to get to chat. So do we want to put these questions if people have questions or want to put something out there in Q&A? Mike, I don't know if you can chat with anyone outside of Kaylee and I. Zoom has made some upgrades lately.
Yeah, we all had a little Zoom microphone issue when we were getting on today. So I've just put something into the chat. And
yeah, cool. Okay,
if
looks like you can talk to everyone. So, okay,
Right.
I'm limited to hosts and panelists, but I'll watch. Thanks.
All right. Wow. So I thought we were here to talk about behavior-driven design. Julie, maybe I should explain all these precursor boxes here, huh?
Yeah, please. I think I was going to ask you to explain them here. So yes, please.
So yeah, so these processes still all apply, and they generate a lot of information, and they inform us before we go into behavior-driven design. So let me just step through the previous 4 boxes real quick. The first is around establishing the canvas for your analytic portfolio, and we're talking about like a 1 to 2 year planning horizon, not much more than 2 years, where on behalf of the business, given the business enterprise strategic initiatives and tactical initiatives, where can analytics help enable the achievement of those initiatives, right? And you define that as a portfolio canvas on behalf of the business domain leaders. And you can have multiple value streams. You could do one by business domain. For example, the marketing group has a set of strategic initiatives to increase market awareness. Sales has initiatives to increase sales volumes and market penetration, right? How do I enable their ability to get there through analytics? And we capture those things. Likewise for customer service, et cetera, right? And so now I have a good feel for what the enterprise is looking to do strategically over the next 12 to 24 months. And then the business context diagram and business process model, totally lost art form. People don't do this. People don't understand the business processes that we're looking to optimize. And typically that's a big part of analytics, is how do we help the business leaders and the business operations people optimize the effectiveness of their processes through being informed via analytics, right? So how do I optimize a process when I don't understand the process? So driving out these process models helps us start to understand the functions that are performed, the quality checks that are being enforced. And it also gives us a feel for the information flows between business processes, which help, and it helps us understand the operational systems that are used to automate those business processes. This is all critically important stuff as we move towards scoping out an initiative. And then the business information model, that's your design blueprint for the data model. That's going to achieve all these different analytic requirements that are going to start to flow as continuous demand for an analytics portfolio canvas. So now I have a good feel for what we're going to do for the business, where we're going to focus, what systems are going to be involved, what data is critically important, and what processes are we looking to optimize them. And then we can move into, okay, let's scope out the first MVP against the first prioritized product release. And that's where we're going to use behavior-driven design techniques. Okay, so given that, let's move in. So BDD for analytic requirements. As I mentioned before, it follows that simple recipe of given, when, and then. And we've adapted this a bit. So let me step through it. So given a particular analytic stakeholder that has a particular business hypothesis, for example, if I'm in product engineering or pricing or product management of the goods and services that we sell to our customer, I want to grow that product consumption. I want to grow sales of those products. So that's my hypothesis. I need to grow market growth, right? And I need analytic insights and predictions to be generated to help refute or support my ability to achieve that business hypothesis, such that I can take action. So these insights can't be just a regurgitation of data. They have to prompt towards action that can be taken. And when I take that action, we're going to capture the value that should be generated as a result of that action. And it needs to be a smart objective, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to the hypothesis itself, and on some kind of targeted, timely basis. Quantifiable objective measures that we're going to use. This is the basis for saying we're getting a return on our analytic product. We're getting a return on our investment in the analytic portfolio, right? And then an important element. So I identify who the person is, the kind of insights that person needs to have presented, and the kinds of actions that they're going to take. And we're going to measure the result of those actions, right? There's telemetry that we have to build in along with rolling out the analytic. So how do we know the analytic is done? Three elements that we've identified. First of all, is it operationalized? Did I put it into production, and have I enabled the analytics stakeholder with an understanding of how to use the analytic product? And then we track, is it being utilized? And these, very easy to get these statistics. Every BI platform has usage statistics on it that we can track. And then, is it generating that expected value? Are we seeing an increase in sales volume as a result of our targeted actions that we're taking? Have we influenced better sales making, right? And then another very important element, and this is pretty specific to the data and analytics product development. a little bit different from software development, is all around the entitlements. Do we have the right data available? Are the required sources accessible? If I'm doing machine learning based analytics, do I have ground truth? And what that means is, do I have enough observations of the thing that do I have enough historical observations to be statistically significant so that I can use that to train my machine learning model to predict those outcomes in the future, right? Do I have enough evidence of customers churning historically so I can do the machine learning training looking for the right independent variables, the inputs, the combination of characteristics and features and actions and events that seem to reliably predict that a customer is going to leave us, right? Very important. And how do we confirm that we have ground truth? During the requirements gathering workshop, where we're following this BDD technique, we have our self-service tools available to us so we can query those sources. We can run queries to test the objective measure that we're looking to achieve. We can run queries to verify that we have all the critical data elements necessary to enable the generation of those insights. Next entitlement is, are my analytics stakeholders assigned, and are they bought in, and are they going to support our development of the analytic product throughout the product development lifecycle, not at the end where we push something over the wall. It's got to be active engagement. Every 2 weeks, we're going to be demonstrating something is working, and we need the analytic stakeholder to weigh in if it's meeting their needs. And we also need to have access to the subject matter experts, both on the application system side, that technical team that supports the operational applications, whether it's SAP or the implementation of Salesforce or any homegrown applications, the people that really know the technical details about those application databases, as well as within the business community, the people that really know the data from a business perspective. Need those people involved during the life cycle of the product development or the MVP build out. And then, given the kind of analytic insight we're looking to achieve, do we have the right enabling technologies? And if we don't, have we budgeted for them? Have we procured them, and are they available so the team is not waiting for a BI tool to be procured and implemented, or waiting for the cloud data warehouse to be chosen, et cetera, right? And then finally, as part of making sure we operationalize the analytic properly, do we have the right education program set up, and do we have a training budget defined? Is the curriculum developed, and is it available for delivery to and consumption by the targeted analytic stakeholders, so that they really understand how to use not only the BI tool itself, but how to effectively use the insights that were generated to support their business hypothesis.
This is something we preach in humans all the time.
Yeah.
We did a poll last year where, on average, I think less than 1% of the budgets were spent on education of their teams, which is, does not lend to transformation, does not lend to happy folks within your organization. People want and crave education.
Oh yeah, well, and I would love to get to the root cause analysis around those abysmal adoption numbers to find out how many of them was, because I don't know how to use the darn thing, right?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, we could dig into that.
So just a couple more things on the entitlements. Julie and I, as part of the product management mindset, that's a lean, agile execution or operating model for running your analytics program. And one of the key things within lean, one of the key principles is always assume variability and always assume you don't know everything, right? But you have to constantly do this continuous exploration as early and as often as possible. And when it comes to the data entitlement, we need to know if we don't have the right data very, very quickly. I've been on so many projects where we're a month and a half, 2 months into an engagement, And we come to realize we just don't have the data, right? We need to know that during the working session, right? Of driving out the requirements. One other thing I want to point out, given the analytic stakeholder or the persona role, keep in mind any one set of business analytics probably will have more than one analytic stakeholder taking advantage of those insights from a different context. So in parallel with building out these specifications using the BDD template, we also want to define who's the analytic stakeholder map, because we need to know who we're going to train. We also need to know, as part of our user interface design or user experience of those insights, that there are going to be different people using the same set of insights with a different context. And we need to be prepared to be able to support those diverse needs. So we want to build this analytic stakeholder map as well. So in this case, I've got a data analyst that is constantly pulling down a market forecast and then doing a lot of analysis to see what can we do on behalf of the pricing manager and product marketing manager to adjust prices on our goods and products, or maybe offer up an idea around different customers' propensity to buy different products, and provide insights to the pricing manager on the price sensitivity, so that pricing manager can be informed on price change recommendations. And I also have the product marketing manager looking at the propensity to buy insights and coming up with product bundling recommendations. And then the strategic business unit VP gets these inputs and these recommendations from those two managers and says go or no go, right? So same set of insight and analytic being used by three different analytic stakeholders. And Julie Burroughs, I know you built a bunch of these stakeholder maps.
But I certainly do enjoy watching you guys do it.
Yeah. And that's another thing I think that is a contributing factor is we build a canned constraint, has preconceived notions on the constraints and the content and the filtering and the sorting and the colors and a lot of form over function. And we build one dashboard only to come to realize that the one person that gave us input is not the only person that's going to use that analytics. So it's real important to keep prompting who all is going to use this insight. All right. Enough about that. I'm curious if anybody's got some questions or observations.
Yeah, this is a great time for questions, and I will be happy. I'm talking to John right now. He's asking about getting a copy of these slides as a PDF. I'll be happy to send that over to everybody. I'm going to send you a follow-up email. So if there are any questions, please make sure that you ask them now. But in the meanwhile, I will tell you that if you've heard just enough to make you curious about how to do more of this stuff, we do have a half-day virtual workshop coming up at the beginning of March. It's going to go from 9 to 12 Mountain, and this is where we're going to get into the how-to of what Mike is talking about. We're going to use some more practical examples, go a little bit deeper. And there is a cost to that workshop, but we've created a code for you all. It's a BDD Jan, and that will get you 50% off of the ticket price. So you can attend that 3-day workshop for about $25. Not bad to be able to gather some more effective requirements, I think.
$25. Yeah.
25. Okay. So don't, oh, no, there are some questions.
Oh, good. Because I kind of wrote down some benefits that I wanted to go through and just reiterate when you guys are done, because I actually stayed up last night and went through your stuff, Mike, and came back out with benefits. And you're going, oh God, I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your take on the benefits, Julie.
Okay. I was just checking to see if there's any more Q&A we need to cover.
Well, there is one right now.
Oh, I like Todd. Yeah. Hey, Todd. Thanks for joining us.
Wait, if you didn't like Todd, would you not answer his question?
No.
She goes, oh, I like Todd.
I checked the participant list. I like everyone on this call.
Okay, so Todd is asking Mike suggestions about how to maintain the momentum after the building and launch.
So Todd, is that maintaining momentum in the organization to keep using the technique, or maintaining momentum of the ongoing effective utilization of the analytic?
And
So
certainly we can we take Todd's mic off? Because Todd usually has some good stuff to say.
Yeah. He says both, but Todd, I'm about to put you on blast. Here you go.
Yeah, I think the main question is around keeping the stakeholders and the various stakeholders at maximum engagement over time. I realize it's like any kind of relationship, it takes work, but I don't know if from your experience you've seen particular things be more effective in maintaining that engagement.
So a couple top of mind things there, Todd, and this is an important question, because losing momentum is just, if I lose momentum in the analytics program, then all that sunk cost happens, right? So my one observation and point would be the way we manage the analytic portfolio
Easy for you to say.
the way we need to manage and execute within the analytics portfolio, we need to take that lean agile mindset approach. When we define the analytic product release, we're getting the business fired up. If you can do that, Mike, that would be really awesome. And I've had customers say, if you can pull all this off, that would be phenomenal, because we've not been able to do it yet. And then you take that product release and you start breaking it down into minimum viable products that you're going to incrementally deliver to achieve the overall breadth and depth of the product, the analytic product release. And then you execute that in true agile format, where the objectives from the product release statement from the analytic stakeholder, who is the product owner, right, gets laid out across the agile sprint release schedule, right, and keep these MVPs to 8 to maybe 10 weeks, right? Deliver something of viable product, deliver a viable product that generates value, and when you run the sprints, identify what am I going to achieve in this sprint? What am I going to demonstrate as working software? We have to demonstrate some progress back to the analytics stakeholder every 2 weeks. That's part of your system review. You always do a system demo of what you've built. It could be you just built out the target data model. It could be you've built out the data pipeline that has populated that data model. It could be that you've built out the wireframe of the visualization that's going to generate the insights. Keep the business engaged. Get that critical feedback from the analytics stakeholder. Am I on the right track, or do I need to pivot? That also gives you an opportunity if the analytics stakeholder says, you know what, guys, I need to pivot a little bit on this insight. New things have happened. And by golly, we know that is going on today, right? Market events, world events, things are external influences are constantly forcing companies to be more and more agile. Our analytic development lifecycle has to be right in lockstep with that. So constantly be ready to pivot or persevere, constantly be ready to tweak. And you do that by active engagement with the stakeholder, so that when we get to the end of the release and we're ready to deploy it to production, the people that are going to consume the analytics have been involved all along the way, and they're really excited about this momentum and process.
Right. And I think what else is key, Mike, is an executive readout when you get to that endpoint on that MVP, because, you're keeping, the group updated and throughout the MVP, but taking it up and above to the management where the funding comes from, and being able to say, hey, we did this, we did it in this short amount of time, we did it right, and everything else. If anyone's interested, hit us. But delivering an executive readout, and we've got a list of things that you deliver during that point. But
yeah,
I don't think people communicate out loud enough their wins and the good work they're doing. And it just lends to that data culture that is so important in these days and times.
Exactly. And then at the end of that product release, during the portfolio planning for the next product release, we always do set of steps that's called inspect and adapt. We ask the technical team and we ask the business community who we're serving, what should we stop doing that was not effective? What should we start doing that we're not to be more effective? And what should we stay the course on? That gives constantly that goes to the lean principle of continuous improvement. We're always seeking to improve because we don't ever know everything. We're going to discover new things. We're going to learn. We're going to grow together. Right?
Yep. In adopting this program of BDD, also in my notes, what I put is it helps you deliver data innovation at scale. So you're able to, do correct things, pivot and persevere quickly, but you're able to, pick up that momentum and deliver more.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think the other thing that I wrote down after, you preach us a lot in our executive boot camps, and I hear you talking to our clients, is, the biggest, we all did some research in the beginning of the year, and people are really trying to change the culture of their organization to be more data focused. And this really lends to that happening, right? So it's another added plus. And we talked about pivot or persevere, which I love. I'm surprised you didn't say minimum lovable product, as we hear from you every so often.
Well, we tested that concept in the market last year, and it didn't really stick, but
but we loved it.
Right. And I guess the bottom line is, you're building analytics products that are useful and that actually get used. Going back to the beginning of this talk where we discussed, the low adoption rates. I mean, we saw it. We've done mentoring, and one that always hits me, Mike, was about probably 6 years ago. It was the largest mentoring we did for a big, how should I say, telecommunications company here in town. Anyone from Denver probably knows who we're talking about, but we went in and we mentored their business groups, their IT groups, and all around this. And it really changed that culture. It really, allowed people to deliver things faster, all the goodness that comes of BDD and, being focusing on getting the right requirements. So this is a game changer for organizations, and it does allow for adoption to occur.
Yeah, it does. And when we do that half-day workshop, we'll also be talking about how do you effectively run one of these workshops? How do you facilitate getting the information out of the people that know it to the people that need to know it, and do it effectively, and make sure that everybody that's in the workshop feels their voice is being heard. And you run a nice crisp workshop where nobody's bored, everybody's totally engaged. So we'll cover some of that during that half-day workshop. But that's another thing is that will continue to increase momentum. You've got to get your stakeholders to say, that was cool. We've not done that before. And that was really a cool approach to getting our requirements nailed down. And look at this end product. It's what I need. It's useful and it's being used, right? And then help them market you to the other business groups. Have your marketing manager talk to the sales manager, say, these guys are doing a pretty good job. I know historically IT or the data warehouse team or whatever hasn't met our needs, but they're turning a ship. Check it out.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, this is awesome. So just like Julie and Mike said, so like Mike said, he's referencing that half-day session that we have coming up at the beginning of March. I dropped everybody a link into the chat. I'll send it in a follow-up email tomorrow as well, so you have it on hand. Again, there'll be a code in there for 50% off of that $49 ticket price. And then, like Julie said, we offer company-specific coaching, mentoring, advising on
workshops,
how you can start
customized workshops.
Right. Any of the workshops that we do, this one, but really any of the things that we do at Great Data Minds, we also go into specific companies and work on that, like on site or virtually with those groups as well. Sometimes you just need to get the rest of the folks on your team jazzed up by some of the things that we talk about all the time. So if you're ever into having one of the Great Data Minds come into your company, please do let us know. You can reply to the email that I'm going to send you tomorrow. You can always reach us at info@greatdataminds.com. We have our YouTube channel spun up and running. We have our LinkedIn group, which is where we're going to be pushing a lot of the conversation in the coming year. So please reach out to us on all the channels. I'll send you links on everything that you might need to see. And we just want to thank you for being some of the folks that joined us on our first session. Appreciate you.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining. Yep.
Yeah,
Everyone have a
thanks,
great
Julie.
day.
Thanks, Mike.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.